Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the beautiful Andalusia in Spain. And we're surrounded by this beautiful building, which you guys probably can't see, but we'll chuck in a couple of B-rolls in there so you guys can see where this is. But the reason why I brought that up is because it actually really complements the car in front of us today. This is the new Peugeot e-2008, or is it 2008? I don't know, I call it e-2008. But anyway, it's seen some new updates and it looks really good. It's one of the top 3 selling B-segment SUV on the market. Here and there, it always goes up and down, but it's one of the top selling cars for Peugeot. It's a big success story for them. And it comes in different trim levels. You have the standard, you have the Alert, you have the GT, and you also have a first edition as well, but we won't be talking about the first edition. And this particular version that we have here is the GT version. And for some of you who knows about the Peugeot line, you could probably spot some of the subtle differences which you get when it comes to the GT line already. But before I go too much into it, let's talk about the design. I know we're gonna, as always, go inside the car, see what the space is saying, the technology is saying, and also take it on the road and see how that feels on the roads of Spain. Spanish roads are usually better than the UK roads, so hopefully we'll get some sort of experience to see what that feels like. Starting with the front of the design, Peugeot says it's wider, and it's probably not something that you notice straight away unless you get your tape ruler out and stuff like that, but it's slightly wider, gives it a better stance as well, gives it that bold look, and the tiger, was it tiger? Lion? That lion, bold lion look. On the front, we have the 2008 written on there and this nice finishing on there. You notice the camera system as well, because this has actually got the 180 parking sensors and ADAS system as well. So we'll talk about that when we talk about the technology, but the design DNA is very familiar. It's not something that we're not used to. We're used to that already. But some of the subtle changes here, you can see that they've moved this clause all the way at the bottom here. I think it's first seen on the 508 and the 508 station wagon, I think. Don't quote me on that. But yeah, they've moved that down to split it apart. And the LED lights as well, it's 3 separate lighting. So again, it allows for them to be able to do the smart LED lighting system. So when you're on the motorway, for example, you don't blind other people and all that kind of stuff. It's got really nice ground clearance as well. So it's nice and tall and higher off the ground. So again, if you're going to be driving this in tougher situations, this would be very suitable for that. Moving over to the side, you will see some of the creases and some of the cuts and angles on the side. It looks very sporty, it looks very sharp. Again, adding to that bold stance that the whole car has. We have 18-inch alloy on here. Again, you can specify which kind of alloys you want on this. As standard, you get 17-inch alloy on the GT version. And then when you go to the standard version of the car, and I've said standard there twice, hopefully it's not confusing, you do get 16-inch alloys, I think, and then it goes up. But anyway, you can specify up to 18-inch alloys on these, which looks really good. And hopefully that doesn't affect the road noise and the performance on the road and handling. And then we see this new E typography here, which is the E badge to know that this is electrified. And I think it looks sharp. It suits the rest of the car. And obviously the line, that's gray or silver on there, on the blue. That's sort of going with the claw, the lion claw that Peugeot go for. And then moving along, we have a diamond black roof, and we have a roof railing as well. And it kind of just slopes to the back, towards the back here, which again, I don't know if that's going to affect our headroom when we get inside the car. Again, we'll check that when we get inside. And we have a charge point here. So we have a 7 kilowatt onboard charger. You can also opt for 11 kilowatts one, but this is capable of fast rapid charge. You're looking at 100 kilowatt rapid charge. So if you do find one of those around where you live, if you buy one of these, you'll be able to charge this up very quickly from 20% to 80% in no time at all. Or you can plug it in on a wall box at home and charge it overnight, and you still get the same charging experience. The beauty of driving electric. Moving on to the back, we have subtle changes here and there again. We have our E badge there, the new one with the new typography, which looks, I think it looks smart, including that Peugeot writing on the back as well. And then if you look at here, we have the GT badge on the back as well to signify this is a GT trim level. So that's a bonus. It's like a badge of honor when you have that GT badge on the back. The brake lights, the tail lights are fully LED as well, and they've changed it because before we get the slat, but now it's just fully horizontal, which looks smart. I think it looks modern and just brings it up to date. I think this first came onto the market back in 2019, and I think from then it's kind of grown up in the way it's designed, subtly as well, without alienating people who love the design and the look of it as well. And we've got this big cladding on the bottom up there, gives it that rugged look, because at the end of the day it's a B segment SUV. In the boot, there we go. This is around 434 litres of boot space, which goes up to 1,467. We'll leave all the numbers on the screen in case I've quoted it wrong. There's so much numbers, so many numbers in my head. But yeah, so we have the folding rear seats. I think it's a 60-40 split, and you can fold it all the way to down so you can get more things in the car. You got a big aperture of opening space, so it's easy to get things inside and outside of the boot as well. And we have another space right at the bottom here, protected by this this board here, and you can also remove it, so you get more space if you want to use that space, or you can just use it to tuck away your charging cables, which is pretty smart. It also means this is nice and flat, so if you were to put maybe a dog, I don't know, it's just easy for them to climb in and position themselves here like so. Right, I'm trying to find a button to close this, but there's no buttons in here, and this is quite stiff, perhaps. Bit of effort and it's done. Do we have a frunk? Right, moment of truth. Do we have a frunk here? Nope, nothing here. So all the space that you have for boot space, all in the back, nothing in the front. Right, here we are in the back. It's really nice and plush in the back. I love the material that's been used, a mixture of Alcantara type of leather, the colors, and the mixture of leather that's here as well. Plenty of space for your knees here as well, so plenty of knee room, plenty of space for my feet as well. And headroom is actually pretty good considering the sloped back sort of look that they're going for, which is really good. You got this little area here to store things. We have 2 USB ports, one's a USB-C and one's a full USB Type A ports. Mixture, I'm in favor of that. Just means that if you still have legacy USB, sounds weird saying USB-A is legacy now, but if you have those, it means you can still charge your devices. We have a bit of a transmission tunnel here. That's because there's also a petrol version of this particular vehicle, so that might be why we still have that there, but it's not too high up that you can't sit there. So for example, if I was to sit in the middle, I'll still be able to put my feet here. Yes, your knees are going to be raised up higher, but it's still doable, pretty much doable. But it's very comfortable overall. I think it's really nice. The material is nice as well. Maybe not so much in this really hot weather because these seats are super hot, which is interesting. I also have a sunroof as well, panoramic sunroof. It doesn't go all the way to the back here, unfortunately. It only goes halfway through, but it's still decent to let some air in and give you a sense of more space that you get in the car overall. So yeah, but there's not much to say about this space here. I think it's really nice and comfortable. The knees aren't they're not raised too high up, so I can sit like this for a long period of time with no issues at all. Hang on though, before we move on from the back area, and I've said all good things about here, but you know what's missing? Armrest. It might be that you have to use the whole seat as your armrest, but no, I kid. There's no armrest here available, but you can fold the seat down like I was saying earlier, which allows you to get more space if you want to fit more things in the boot. But yeah, it's a shame there's no armrest here, which is it's kind of strange. I'm used to having an armrest in the back seat. Up in the front, things looks very familiar, at least to me anyway, because I've been in a few Peugeot, but there are a couple of things that are new up here as well, especially in the GT version. So in the GT version, we have a new 10-inch display instrument cluster with 3D effect on there as well. We've seen that before, but it looks really nice and sharp on here. And we have a 10-inch infotainment system, which also supports wireless Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, so wireless screen mirroring. We have this nice carbon fiber finishing all around here as well, which I quite like. I love the lime, green, yellow going stitching here, which is really good. Matches the seats as we have it. And then this steering is very compact, and as part of the GT trim level, we have a GT badge on the steering as well again. So when you get one of these, that's how you know straight away that you are in the GT trim level. We have 2 USB-C ports on the front, so there's no full USB-A port there, which is fine. We have our piano keys here. You see what I did there? But these are used for the quick functions that you need to do all the time, things like your climate control, hazard lights and stuff like that, and your volume controls here as well, which is really nice. I think it looks very modern here. It looks very snazzy. We have no head-up display on here, but I believe you can actually spec it up to get a configurable head-up display, which I really love. I love having head-up display. Our buttons here for the panoramic sunroof. We have 2 cup holders here. The drive mode, the drive shifters here with B mode button on there as well. And then here, I love what they've done with this, because this is where your charger goes for your charging mat, so you can wirelessly charge your device. But this also doubles up as, if I just grab my iPhone here, a phone holder. So you can dock your phone there when you're driving and using it as a sat nav. I don't know why you do that, because you can do wireless auto play or CarPlay there as well. So I don't know why you do that, but that can be your phone holder if you really need to. Maybe a child can see that from the back. Who knows? But that is there. It doubles up as something. So you can stick your phone in there. You can secure it away as well. So once you lock it, in case you forget to take your device out, your device is going to be out of vision, so no one's going to be able to see it. And there's a little cubby hole here, which allows you to store more stuff. It's kind of deep actually. It takes up nearly half of my arm there, but this can slide up and down as well. So you can put it forward, slide it backwards, and that's got a leather finishing on it, which is nice and comfortable for your elbow. But other than that, it's very comfortable here. It feels really nice and very premium at that, and very up to date. It looks snazzy. I like it. You can even configure the ambient lighting in here with up to 8 color options, so fill your boots in terms of the color options there. More on the infotainment system. This is very, very straightforward. It works really well as well, quite responsive. In fact, it's kind of over responsive because in some scenarios, I barely touch it and see, it just picks it up, and I haven't even really touched it. So, but it's responsive, and that's all that matters, because if you're trying to drive and point at stuff, you don't want to end up tapping aggressively and nothing's happening. But that aside, the main screen is customizable. A lot of things are customizable in here, but we do have a mirror screen. So for your Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, we can have a look at the application drawer, so you can have a look at different things like your energy consumption information. So here we can have a look at the energy flow, especially when driving, statistics. And if you have the My Peugeot app, you can also use that to coach the way that you drive as well. So energy coaching basically. So we go back home, the button's down here to go back home, which I find a bit odd. It'd be nice if there was a gesture, maybe like a swipe back or something like you would on your smartphone. If we go back to the application drawer, you can see what else we have here. So we have things like your media, navigation. The navigation is also good as well for taking you through the most economic route, for example. We also have voice assistance. We have OK Peugeot system, which allows you to control different things. So we can say, OK Peugeot, activate climate control. Switch that off for now, but yeah, so you can use your voice to do something like that. So you can easily just keep your eyes on the road whilst you do all that kind of stuff. And then if you go into settings, we can adjust different things. So like display customization. So here we can adjust the way the widgets are displayed on the actual main screen, and on the instrument cluster, we can change the way things are displayed on there as well. So you can see all the different types of things that you can have on there. Gives you like a little tutorial if you want to learn how to do it. But this is pretty much something that we're familiar with. Just turn the audio down. We come back out, we can change the interior color as well. So I was talking about those 8 color options that you have available. So we can change the ambient lighting in here, and it shows you like a little preview on the side as well as you're selecting them and all that stuff. Whilst in settings as well, you can go into audio settings and you can change your sound settings. So things like your treble, bass, mid. So if you know what you're doing, you can come here and change it, and you can also reset it as well in case you've just overly done it and it's not doing what you want it to do. You can just do that. And that's pretty much in here. Very straightforward, very easy to use. You can change, you can add different profile settings as well, depending on if you're sharing the car with other people in the household. You can do that on here and go back home like so. Very easy to use, very straightforward and very responsive. Another thing that's worth looking at on here is the ADAS system. So if we just scroll across, because it's one of the widgets here, you can go on ADAS, and on here we can look at the full function that's available. So you got a panoramic camera, so this allows you to park very easily. So you can look at the back, you can look at the front. You've got sound as well. You can even change some of the settings in terms of brightness levels. And if we go back out, we have obstacle detection, so which is cool. We then have lane keep assist, automatic braking system at different speed levels as well. Depends on what speed you have. Road marking, road edge marking detection as well. Traction control, speed limit recognition, traffic sign recognition. We have blind spot alert and driver attention alert as well. This also has active cruise control, which supports stop and go. So that way it recognizes the car in front and stuff like that, which is useful for driving in traffic. So the instrument cluster itself, it's got this 3D effect, which I think you can turn it off. I'm not completely sure, but it gives you this 3D effect in the GT trim level, which looks pretty cool. It just overlays the screen with all important information on the front display. But what you can also do here is customize what you can actually see in the right dial. So for example, you got all the display itself. So you got dials at the moment. We can tap, like I'm tapping away on the steering wheel. You can have driving. So you can have driving information, like you can see changes, customizes that for you. You got navigation if you want navigation only, nice and big on the screen, without losing that top layer of the important information like your speed and what drive mode you've got it on, So you can see there, you can change that to energy consumption, for example. So you can see how well we're doing in terms of your energy distribution. But the whole point of this is you'll be able to customize it to suit your preference and to show the information that's important to you as the driver. But very good, very responsive as well. So job well done there, Peugeot. All right, so on the road in the new Peugeot e-2008. Again, guys, let me know in the comments, is it e-2008 or is it e-2008? 1008? Anyway, we are on the road and let's get some stats out of the way first. So this will do 0 to 62 in 9.1 seconds. And as this is electric, it's quoted to do 250 miles on the WLTP mixed. And with that, it's up from 215 miles that we had before, which is a really good thing. It's because we have a better battery, bigger battery. You're looking at 54 kilowatt hour battery in here. And this is 150 horsepower. So don't expect this to blow your mind when it comes to power. So I'm talking speed and all that kind of stuff. In fact, top speed in this, you're looking at 93 miles per hour. So I guess you don't need more than that, because in the UK, when this reaches the UK, you can't do more than 70 miles per hour anyway, legally on the motorway. So that's more than enough power that you need. And when you're driving around town and stuff like that, it's just nice and linear as well. So there's no massive torque. You're looking at 260 Newton meters of torque on this. So it's not massive, it's not big at all. But again, the people that this is aimed at, it's all about economy. It's all about being efficient. It's the range that you get out of it, and they've built it in a way that allows for range and practicality. So the space is good in here, it doesn't feel too cramped up. You got plenty of boot space, more than 400 liters of boot space, and there you can fold it down and get 1,467 liters of boot space in there as well. So I think generally this is built for practicality and being able to just get in, take it out about town. And if you need to do some motorway journey, you can do that as well. And it's got fast charge, so supercharge, 100 kilowatt hour fast charge on there. Let's talk about the mode here. So I talked about the top speed, which was 93 miles per hour. That's in sport mode. So there's a little drive mode selector here, which allows us to go between normal, sport, and eco. So I think for this journey, for this test, I'm going to be mainly exploring that normal mode, because that's what most people are going to do. Unless you're doing school runs, you might just do eco, because you're not going to be going faster, especially in the UK. You're not going, in London anyway, you're not going to be going faster than maybe 20 miles per hour, 30 miles per hour. So eco will be fine there. You also get your energy information on here or on the instrument cluster, which means you can also see that if you need to do so. This starts from around, for the base one, I think it starts from around 20,000 plus. Don't quote me, I'll put the numbers on the screen. And for the full whack one that we have here, which is the GT version, you're looking at around £40,000 or so. And I think for that price point, you were getting a lot for your money. You're getting a lot of premium experience, a lot of technology, a lot of safety equipment in here for that sort of money that you're paying. So it explains why this is one of the success stories for Peugeot, because it offers a lot for the price that you're paying for it. In terms of the drive experience, like I said at the start of this video, we are on Spanish roads, and these are nice and smooth. So it's hard to tell if this is going to be uncomfortable, or how well is it going to handle things like road bumps and all that kind of stuff when you're driving out and about in London. Those speed bumps and potholes everywhere that they're fixing every other day in London. So, but as far as smooth roads go, it's really nice, and we're going to take it down further to see how well it handles the cornering and stuff like that. But at the moment, we're just driving really nice and slow at around 36 kilometers per hour. So it's nice and comfortable, very smooth. It doesn't feel heavy. The compact steering wheel is very well suited to the car as well. Visibility is great. I can see the instrument cluster very well. You can also adjust this, so you can move it inside and out. I can move it up and down to make sure that I'm getting the visibility correctly. The pillars, the ABC pillars, really nice and well as well. I can see through the mirror very well. The rear view window is very wide, so I can see everything clearly. So there's no issue there when it comes to safety, the safety element of driving a car. And like I said, the steering feels really nice and stiff. Is nicely weighted, very precise as well. So that's the sort of thing that I look for in terms of a car. If I was to buy this car, there's sort of things I'd be looking forward to in terms of, I can just one hand on the steering, just drive it. Feels really nice and precise, like I said. You got B mode on here for your energy recuperation. So it doesn't mean that you start doing one pedal driving in here at all, but that will still help you in terms of regaining some of those otherwise what would be wasted energy when you're driving around in the e-2008. But I think it's very nicely refined. Road noise, even with those 18-inch alloys, road noise is very minimal. In fact, the noise that you can probably hear right now is the AC that's on in here, because it's about 32 degrees right here, right now. So if I was to turn this off, I would be sweating in the car. You've got sunroof as well to let some sunshine through the car, and you can open it slightly to let some air through the car as well if you want to do that. And it's a shade thing over it, so you can draw the shade across. It doesn't go all the way to the back, unfortunately, though, which is a bit of a shame. But yeah, I think so far so good with the drive experience. I can't wait for the road to just open up a little bit so I can see what this feels like when I stick into sports mode, and then we can see what that feels like on the road. All right, stick into sport mode. All right, okay, it's got a bit of a, you put your foot down a little bit in sport mode, and it's got a bit of a kick to it. It's not bad at all. It's not a lot of torque, but the response is pretty good. One thing I'm not sure about though is, as I'm going faster, a weight shifting from side to side in the car, so it kind of doesn't fill you with that confidence. You can't whip it around too much in these corners at higher speed, so you have to be careful. And the legal limit here on this particular road is like 60 kilometers per hour. So I'm not going over that especially, but as I'm doing this corner here, you can sort of feel the weight shift from side to side. But again, I'm not gonna say that's a bad thing necessarily, because again, it's not really aimed at people who wants to be doing some ridiculous speeds. I'm obviously quite high up here because my ears are actually popping as well. But yeah, so as far as cornering and handling goes on the corners, it's definitely not something that you're gonna be whipping around at higher speeds. But if you're just cruising around on a straight road, around the street, around suburbs, then I think this is more than enough. You'll be okay in terms of cornering and just navigating around. That's okay. But like I said, on this slightly more higher speed roads, you have to be extra careful the way you throw it around. The brakes are good. You tap it. It's not too sharp that when you press it, everyone in the car just goes forward. It's nice and smooth and really nice. It connects very well with my feet in terms of, as soon as I press it, it feels exactly how I want it to feel, which is really good. And the ABS is not sort of like kicking in on my feet. So again, that's a good thing. And you got plenty of like ADAS system in here, so for safety as well, like collision warning and things like your adaptive cruise control with start, stop and go. And obviously this can read all your road signs as well, so you can also be aware of the speed limits as you're driving around. So that's a really good thing. So I think overall for me, it's a good all-rounder in terms of you get decent range in it, 250 miles WLTP. If you get that in the real world, that's going to be a whole different story. I reckon you easily get, let's say, 210, 220 out of this. I reckon you'll be able to do that. If you go for the GT line, just around £40,000, you're getting a lot for your money in terms of the tech pack and the styling, including this really nice seats and just the all-round design in the car. So you're getting a bargain for your money, I think, for that price point. There are other competitors on the market with bigger boot space, for example, and maybe a larger battery pack. So that's something to consider as well. But I think if you're in the market for a particular B-segment SUV, that's Peugeot, I think this is a good one to consider for sure. Sport mode is going to become your favorite very quickly, because you get a bit more oomph to when you put your foot down and it starts to drive. It's really nice. But I think overall, great car. I like the premium level of it. It feels very premium. It feels nice and smooth to drive at lower speeds. When you start going over, I reckon 40 miles per hour, and you're cornering and stuff, that's when you have to start to be careful and be more mindful of the way the weight goes around and shifts across the car to sort of like slow down. Good braking system as well, really good. But as usual, let me know what you think in the comments below. If you have any questions, drop them there as well. I like to try and answer those questions, because sometimes when you're driving these cars on these smooth roads, it's hard to give you the full detail of what this is going to feel like on the UK roads, which I can't really tell you here. And also the consumption, I can't really tell you that either, because I'm going to spend around 5 hours with the car, but that doesn't really give you the full story, the full picture in terms of the efficiency. But 250 miles is what they've quoted, so we'll go with that for now. Over to you, let me know what you think, and thanks for watching. See you guys in the next one.